Welcome. I am Samuel Smith. My parents were United Empire Loyalists, came to Upper Canada during what the rebels to the south called the American War of Independence, back during the 1770s. When rumors of war with our neighbors to the south surfaced in October of 1812, I volunteered for the 49th Regiment of the Canadian Militia. We were called up for service with the British forces and ordered to Queenston Heights. You must have heard of Paul Revere. Rode his horse one night to warn the rebel forces that the British are coming at the start of the Revolution. I was the one many years later who warned our British allies and Canadian militia forces that the Americans are coming. I was alone that morning of October 13th, about 4 a.m., on sentry duty in heavy rain along the banks of the Niagara, straining to see if anything was moving out there. When I heard something across the river to the south, I tried to see what was happening. In the early morning fog, when I saw American soldiers boarding boats, I realized they were coming straight at me. I ran to a guardhouse, summoned help. When the general appeared, I told him an attack was beginning. The Americans were coming. We were only about 1,000 British soldiers and 600 Canadian militiamen and Indians. All were in place behind cover in time to meet the enemy with a hail of musket and cannon fire as they tried to come ashore. They outnumbered us about 4 to 1. We were lucky, lost fewer than 100 that day. My actions helped our forces turn back the Americans then. The war continued until 1815, unfortunately causing the death or maiming of so many young men on both sides. 20 years later, I wrote my diary. 20 years ago this morning, I was in the Battle of Queenston, fighting the Americans. I was on the second patrol and discovered the enemy putting their boats in the Niagara River, then shoving up from the meadow, say 3 miles below Queenston. Even though I was frightened at the time, I'm proud to say I served my country and my empire well. I was the one to warn my comrades that the Americans were coming to invade our country. Following my service during the War of 1812, I became a surveyor, working in Haldimand County and later in Kent County, which then included what is now Lambton. In 1818, I helped survey what later became known as Moore and Sombra and Euphemia townships. In my survey, I numbered the lots in Euphemia Township. Each lot, by the way, was about 200 acres. Land is still being sold according to my surveying, with people buying land in the east or west half of lot number so-and-so on concession number so-and-so. Euphemia Township was named in 1840 by Malcolm Cameron, then an elected representative for the Western District. Named it to honor his mother, Euphemia McGregor Cameron. Since I liked the Euphemia area best, I settled on 600 acres of Euphemia Township at a bend in the Sydenham River. I erected grist, saw, fulling, carding, and turning mills along the river near to the rapids. My property soon became known as Smith Falls. Just a few months ago, on the day after Christmas, 1856, we were hit by a terrible fire. Awakened early by one of our sawyers who had found our sawmill aflame, a fire which quickly spread to the woolen factory right next to it. We lost so much that day. Our sawmill, back in operation less than 2 months after installing new machinery, was burned to the ground. The woolen factory went up next. We also lost a new double carding machine and picker, new machines for shearing and fulling, a press stove, nappers, a turning lathe, and a dye house. Such a great loss. Everything inside, both buildings, destroyed by the fire. Many bushels of corn, many barrels of lime cement, thousands of board feet of valuable black walnut lumber, and so many other items. Alas, I had no insurance. The total loss to me was more than $10,000. Now I must bid you farewell, feeling very tired. Too many sad memories.